G'day guys, this is the first in the series for this particular collection. Now, if you're new to my channel, this is the first of a couple of videos that you will notice I'm going to call class. So this is the class 1. This is using these 3 products that I just showed you there. So the Craft Consortium papers called Craft Consortium 6x6 paper pad, and it's called Over the Rainbow. They're the ones I'm using. I'm also using the Darkroom door stencil. It's called Grunge Borders, and I'm using the Lunar Paste that is called Gold Rush. Now, they're the base items that I'm going to be using while I'm doing this class, and I'm just showing you and basically talking you through so you can create the same look at your place if you've got the same products, or you can use similar products, your call. So all I'm doing here is I'm cutting. I went through and I selected one of each of the colors. I picked the lighter ones. So in the pack you've got 4 sheets of each color and they're double-sided. Now I went through and cut them all at a 1/2 inch, and I cut 3 strips of each one. So that just gave me, as you can see there, obviously a rainbow. This is a rainbow paper pad, so I wanted to pay homage to that. And I've pulled out, in the kit you also get some black and some white cardstock, or you've probably got some at home anyway. So I've just pulled out a black base for this one. So I thought we'd jump right into the deep end straight off the bat on our first class and yeah, run with a black background. I thought it'd be nice and striking. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just roughing up the edges, distressing. You will hear people talk about having distressing tools. I've got a distressing tool as well. I'm going to try with these classes to use extra tools to a minimum so that you would be able to, that you can see that you can create this look with minimal supplies. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Now, future videos, I'm going to use some of my bling out of my stash. I'm going to do that purely so you can see how you can have, this is the base look, and this is when you go to the photos over in the Facebook group, you can see how I've sort of pimped it out just a little bit more. So you will probably have some of those bits and pieces in your collections, and yeah, feel free to add it. This is just a jumping off point. If you want to make this exactly the same as mine, I'll give you all the information that I possibly can so you can recreate the look. Failing that, you can take the bits and pieces that you like. It's completely up to you. Now, if you're looking for these particular pieces of this kit combo, this is done in partnership with Crazy Craft Obsession. Their link is in my description below. And if you want to grab yourself some, I think they've still got some over there. Now, I've pulled out the stencil. You saw me go through there and I've just roughly put some guidelines there showing me just probably about 5 inches. That's what I've done. So I am not being pedantic about how this goes on. What I've done is I've grabbed the stencil, I've put a piece of mint tape on it, and that way it just helps me only get those lines. So this stencil actually has several different borders that you can use. And for this particular layout, all we want to use is just the top one, just the top stripes. And I figured, that way it keeps it stripy lines, lineal, and it's working. So that, to me, that's what I did. Now, what you can see me doing there is because I had to dry this lot off, in between, if you have to dry some of the lunar paste, okay, make sure that you can do what I just did then. Grab a piece of paper towel or a cloth, whichever you use, and wet it. Just use your spray bottle and wet your stencil, because the lunar paste dries really quick. Really quick. Huge disclaimer. Quick. You don't want to wreck your stencils. So these stencils from Darkroom Door are amazing. They're super sturdy. They're great, but don't leave your lunar pastes on them because it's a bit of a pain to get them off. I was caught off guard with the very first one that I ever used, and yeah, so yeah, heed the warning. So now I'm going through and just putting some lines going the opposite direction. This way I'm just holding up one end of the stencil, so it kind of makes it a little bit of a Houdini situation. How many hands do you have? But it's okay, it works. So I haven't put, normally I would spray my tacky spray on the back of my stencil, but I haven't done that purely because you may not have tacky spray at home. So therefore I'm going to do it the way somebody starting out scrapbooking, that's what I'm going to try and do, and show you ways of doing it and succeeding. So this is how I clean my stencil. You do it straight away, just on a piece of paper towel like that, and bam, it's done, it's clean, and you don't have any left on your stencil. So then obviously I have to dry off the lunar paste. You could wait for it to dry yourself. That's not a drama. I'm doing it like this purely and simply because of the videoing side of things. So I'm just showing, and I left that in there specifically because, well, one, I always leave in all my bits and pieces, whether it's a fail, whether it's not. I leave it in there because you will learn from it, either what not to do, or maybe my fail is something you like and you might want to use that too. So you can see here what I'm trying to create is a kind of rainbow ladder. That's sort of in my head, that's what my inspiration was for this one. But I didn't want it to just go straight on the diagonal. I wanted it to sort of have a little bit of a stepping out here and there. Now what I decided to do once I got to this point, I wanted the ends not to be perfect rectangle. Like I didn't want it to be a perfect edge. So I'm tearing the ends, just the tiniest little bit off each end, and I'm tearing it towards myself. There's a reason why I'm doing that, because then it's giving me a white edge. If you tear it away from yourself, then you won't have the white edge. This is a white core paper, so there's ones like Creative Memories. There's their cardstocks, their coloured card. It's all coloured. There's no white core to it. I think Basil's the same actually. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I think Basil's the same. Now, or they're the two I know off the top of my head. Now, as you can see, as I was going up here, see what I mean? I didn't want it to just go from the bottom right to the top left. I want it to have a little bit of interest, a bit of a kink in it. And yes, I'm covering up some of the stencil work. That is completely normal with all mixed media. It doesn't matter whether you're using sprays, stenciling, modeling pastes, all that sort of stuff. You will always cover a portion of it up, and that's okay. But you put down a lot, so you probably looked at the beginning and went, wow, Karen, that's a lot of gold. And it was. But once you add the strips on top, and then once you put some embellishing on top of that, you don't see all of the gold. And I wanted it to be abstract in the background. I didn't want it to be sort of all in your face, picture perfect. I wanted it, and I didn't want to have to measure it kind of thing. I got a rough guide of about 5 inches. That's where I put my my pencil lines. Now, it's at this point, this is where I decided, now normally I would do, if I'm going to do a splatter, which I don't do a lot of, but if I'm going to do a splatter, I will do it right at the very end. But I wanted the splatters to go down on the black, and I wanted them to be behind the photos. I wanted the gold to be in the background, literally. So I did that first. I used the lunar paste. I just added a little bit of water to it, and it splats on and dries perfectly. So, and you still got your metallic there. It's perfect. Now, I've set that to the side to dry. Now, these are the leftover pieces from where we cut our strips. Okay, I haven't gone back to the paper pad. Don't touch any more of the paper pad. This is the same, I think it's 8 strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 strips. Okay, so I pulled out my stencils. Now, in this situation, if you don't have You might choose to do stars instead of hearts. You might choose to do circles instead of hearts. You do you. You might do hexagons. You might do, it's your call. I chose hearts. I'm lucky enough that I've got the punches. Hearts are so simple. You could literally fold your page in half and cut some hearts by hand if you wanted to. And if you cut them by hand, a little secret, distress the edges. Because then if there's a little bit of a point or a bit of an edge, it disguises everything. So I decided to pull out my Creative Memories punches, and you can see the purple and the white one, the hand punches. I actually picked those up from Lincraft earlier this year. Yeah. And they're pretty handy little punches. They add to what I've already got in my existing collection. So I've got, as you can see here, I've got 4 different size hearts with the Creative Memories punches. And what I'm actually doing is, to get those hollow hearts, I punch out the small heart and then I go over it with the next size up and line it up just right and punch it out, and it gives you a hollow heart. So that's how I do those. Now I'm putting all these in my working tray because otherwise I keep moving things around in front of you, and it's very, well, for me, I don't like looking at it when I'm doing stuff like that. So I'm just going through and I'm just smashing out some tiny hearts. Both sides of this paper will work, so it doesn't really matter if it's the dark side or the light side. Depending where I want to put it on the layout will work out whether I have it right side up or the other side up, basically, just so it pops a little bit more. Now, what else can I tell you about this? So this is, if you're just watching this because it's just another video, welcome. Hi, how you going? I'm putting these videos up, and I will be doing this in future not for every one of my videos, but I'll let you know if you want to combine, especially if you're an Aussie or a Kiwi and you want to get the same paper pad that I'm using, and then you can kind of follow along, and this is a class. So this is what I'm calling a class, and I will have everything listed below as per what you need to get if you want to follow it exactly. If you don't have access to the Craft Consortium papers, if you want to get white, do some mixed media. Just do half a dozen different colors. You could use water paints. You could use distress oxide inks. You could use watercolors. You could use watercolor pencils. You could do anything. You could use acrylic paint to create these bold colors, and that's what I decided that I would use. That's why I chose this paper pad, because I think it's something everyone can get their hands on, some bright colors basically. Now I pulled out my thicker, this is a set of thickers that, it's a Paige Evans one. It's called This and That, and it's wonderful for doing tone on tone. I've got to be honest, I've got a lot of it left because I don't really do a lot of this kind of tone on tone thing. I do it, but I do it differently. So I basically decided that I would pull those out to create my title. Okay. I need your feedback. So obviously everyone that's watching this is someone that is, all the people that have got the paper pad and have bought the kit for the class, you're obviously all watching this. Let me know below if you mind if I create my own titles on my Cricut, which of course you could then use dies, you could use your own stickers, you could do anything you like with your own titles. But I think that will make it more me if I do it like that. So just let me know in the comments below, is this sped up too much for you guys? You can slow it down by simply hitting the cog at the bottom of the video, and when you click on that, it will say speed, and click on the speed, and you can adjust to slow it down if you want to, or you can speed it up. Totally your call. As I said, these are free classes that I'm going to run just to show you guys that you can use it won't be a 6x6 paper pad every time. I figure we'll sort of use all different things. So let me know what you would like to maybe do in the next paper pad, in the next combo, and we can run with that. Now, I will also let everybody else know, if you want to play along, there's a list in the description below of what I've actually used. Or like I said, you can just use your own. If you've got another lunar paste, or you've got, I don't know, like glacier paste maybe, or something like that, you could use that instead. Totally your call. Now, I'm just going through and I'm just putting, these are the sprinkly bits, and I'm doing them tone on tone, but in a line, lined up where it is. It's sort of going off the edges just to create some hearts and some color sort of running through the center. And it's super simple. Now, I will be honest with you, I did nearly come unstuck here, because if you're using art glitter glue, I'm going to let you know in advance, the Craft Consortium paper, you put a tiny bit of glue and then put those two bits of paper together, and for some reason it sticks almost instantly. So just beware of that, because it's a good quality paper and I absolutely love it. I use it. I've got heaps of these paper pads, but it is just something to mental note, especially if you're going to do punches like I have. Like I said, do stars, you could do circles, you could do hexagons, you could literally, if you don't have punches, you could make diamonds. They're easy to cut out. You could do squares, you could do larger and smaller squares like I've done here. All these hearts are not the same size. They vary from 1 inch down to 1/4 of an inch. No, they go from, I just told a porcupine, it's 1.5 inches down to 3/4 of an inch. And then I've got my two smaller sprinkly bit punches. So I did pull out my black pen and I went over it, and this is where I stopped. So that is pretty much it. And then I do my close up for you. No, hang on. I do one more thing. I do create a border for you. And this is where I want to know if you guys are flexible if I use my usual pens and stuff. So you guys can get most of the, like the kit, you can get the combo, but then you can add your extra bits on top. So because I didn't know that in advance, I decided, no, I'm going to stick to the rules that I've made for myself. And I pulled out a piece of mint tape, and instead of using my gold Uniball pen, I decided, no, I'm going to use the Lunar Paste. Goes down beautifully, dries super quickly. And I'm just using, you could use washi tape if you don't have mint tape. You could use painter's tape if you have that. You can use a bit of masking tape. You could do any of those sort of things. Just test it first to make sure you're not going to rip up your layout. And yeah, that creates the border for the layout, and it's all matching gold. So there's no 2-tone, 3-tone golds, which makes my heart happy. So I'm just cleaning up now, and that is the end of that layout. Now I'm going to do the close-up for you, and I'm going to do my shameless plug. So this is video number 1, class 1 for this particular layout. Here it is, all up close and personal. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would be interested in going into the next class set. I'm going to do 4 layouts with this particular paper pad as a class, and then I'll obviously just use the rest of the paper pad on other layouts. But let me know if you're interested in the next class, and I will finalize details as to what we're going to add to the class. Also let me know if there's anything you want me to use. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget, everything will be in the description below for the class, everything I've used, measurements, all that sort of stuff, and I will chat to you soon. Bye for now, guys.